And if you run it, so if you've answered yes, on your multiple machines, do you know with certainty that you have the same settings across those machines?
No.
So the thing I'm going to talk about is a way to know that you have the same settings across multiple machines. And settings in Linux lingo are generally referred to as dot files. And the reason they're, if you're Preston like yourself, if you're totally new to Linux, dot files are any file that starts with a period. And by default, they are hidden.
Well, the dot makes them hidden. You put
The
a dot in front of
dot, the act of putting a dot in there hides them when bash runs like ls and that kind of thing. If you want to see them, you use the -a flag, and suddenly you realize, oh my gosh, there's a ton of files in this directory that I thought was relatively empty. And so these files help control your settings of your profile, and the thing I want to cover is how to help manage them. There are a variety of techniques for managing dot files, but one or two configuration files, the things that I absolutely could not live without in my environment, and I go and manually type them in and go to environment, do that a lot. I think that's pretty common that people would take that stance. I think if you do have regular access to the internet or access to some place to store repositories, you don't have to do that. What you can do as an alternative is store your settings in one place. For example, mine are stored on GitHub, in a dot files repository. And then what I do, if I need to start up a new machine, is I bring down this repository and I run a command, which I'm going to go over in a second, and essentially it sets up all my dot files that so all of my personal preferences are brought along with me wherever I need to go. This is good for if your machine dies and you need to get back up and started and you're like, well, I think I had such and such a setting. You don't have to remember that stuff anymore. You keep it in version control, and then it is there for your purposes.
If you break something that way, you can roll back too if you keep it in.
Exactly, exactly. Benefits of version control. Big fan. So I've got my repository here, and let's take a quick peek at what I actually do in this dot files thing. So if we look at it, license and readme don't really matter, but the key for me is this Bootstrap Shell file. This is a bash script, and let's take a look. Take a peek. So here we go, Chris. There you go. Make make bash finicky. So if I get down to the bulk of what I do, it centers around this. My main function here, there we go, just prints out a bunch of information, and I'm doing some checks on things that are important to me that I cannot live without. I can't live without Vim. I can't live without AG. AG is it's a better grep. So if you use grep, AG's way faster. It does some really smart stuff. It has some really nice syntax highlighting. It's awesome. So
if you like grep, look for AG.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I'll check it out.
It's amazing. So anyway, a lot of this stuff is the nitty-gritty of my environment, so you don't have to pay too much attention to it. But the idea is I do some checking for tools to make sure they're installed. Some of them I have to make mine work across Linux and Mac, so the ways to get those tools installed is different. Like I'm running apt install on Linux and I'm running homebrew install on Mac, so I don't try and make a unified script just for my own sanity. But there is some stuff that's common to both. Like on both, I prefer to use ZShell rather than bash, which is actually what you guys have been seeing. So it's ironic that we've been doing a bash talk and here we are sitting in ZShell.
But I guess
Yeah, I mean, you were executing it with Bash, so it's fine. Like they're pretty compatible with
You're
each other.
detecting, the script detects your environment though to know what platform you're on.
It does. I
Okay.
have the hash bang line up here says use Bash. So
So when you run that, it's going to invoke Bash to
it's
run
going
it
to
anyway.
invoke Bash.
Yeah.
So the other big thing, the way that the core of how this works is by doing symbolic linking. Are you familiar with symbolic linking?
Barely.
Okay. So a symbolic link is really just like a shortcut in Windows, if that helps you. But it's a way to tell your file system, I want to have a file here that looks like it's named this and really point to a different location. So if you recall, all the configuration files that we cared about were actually in the home directory. So they're in a way that's actually visible. So here they are. They're at the top level of home directory, and notice these pink ones. This is just my shell highlighting it this way, and you can't tell from here. But if we switch this,
Yeah, another dot file is dir colors.
yes, that's too big. So look at bash profile here. It starts with an L here, which means it's a link file, and it says, here's my bash profile, but oh, by the way, I'm actually pointed at this dot file's bash profile. So I have my bash profile controlled in GitHub, and when bash opens, when a shell opens and reads bash profile to determine like what settings do I want to have, it goes to the home directory and says bash profile, but the file system looks at that and says, oh, you really meant this file over here, so it loads that instead. And I do that in a few places. I do that for my default git config settings, and I do that for my Vim settings, and so forth. So this is the mechanism that I use to make sure that my environments have a consistent feel. It's not perfect. Like, it takes some tweaking along the ways. And every time I discover, ooh, that didn't actually work the way I thought it would, I try and code it up and put it in there and control it so that the next time I have to run this stuff, it'll work a little better, time and time again. So that's most of what I wanted to cover. I just wanted to spark your interest in it. You can feel free to steal from me if you would like. I would also point you to, there's an entire website on a GitHub Pages thing, which you cannot read because that is so fuzzy. Here we go. So it's called dot files, and what it is, it's a big old listing of things that you can study. So if you want to figure out, I want to do my dot file such and such a way, how would I do that? You can learn from lots of people. Also in here are tools that, if you don't want to roll your own and you find something else that can suit your needs better, there might be a tool in here that is a better fit for you. Or maybe you don't use bash. Like, you don't have to use bash. You could use fish. You could use ZSH. And manage your stuff in that way. So it has stuff for editors. I don't actually know all the stuff that's in here. I'm kind of scrolling through it quickly, but you get the idea that there are ways to control your environment with a whole lot of tools out there, and they can make your life a little easier when it comes to making sure that your environment is consistent.
Actually, that's one of the reasons I named the session Shell Scripting instead of Bash, because I started off with Bash scripting.
Yeah.
And so, but, like Chris started off with Bash, made it run in Bash. I'm thinking I would have just run it from the command line.
Right.
So, do you have more to show?
That kind of covers it. I'm
Okay.
happy to answer some questions for a minute or two if people have questions about it. Because I know it kind of just whirlwind toward what was going on. So is there anything anybody wants to look at specifically, or y'all feel good about it?
So I just want to make sure I understand correctly. So you have different platforms that could be working on, like the Mac or something else that uses different well, even different shells, right?
Yeah, make it.
Okay. And then whenever you log on, you just run a script that configures your profile to the preferences based on whatever is available and where you store it in GitHub.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And even so, the way I've written my script, I'll try and do one better. I've written it in such a way that it is supposed to be idempotent, which just means that I should be able to run this over and over and over again without ill effect or without a bunch of side effects.
Question, if I may, while you're this is germane to what you're sitting in ZShell right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're about to invoke bootstrap.sh, but I recall the shebang bin bash. So when it looks at that, runs bootstrap.sh, it's going to say, I'm going to run this in bash,
That's
not
right.
ZShell.
That's right.
Okay.
So if I run this command, it gave me, I just have up all of my informational messages. If anything was out of date, it would have, like if I added a new symlink in one place, it would have added it here, and it just is informing me like, just give me the status of like.
I see you're getting fancy with color arrows.
I did.
Do you have one that if there's a change?
I have a red one if there's a failure. I didn't go as far as that would be
Feature
fun.
request. No.
That'd be fun to add a yellow. So okay, that's
Could
kind
you
of
talk
fun.
with how you're getting the colors?
You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
Like
yeah,
Ansible
please.
style. You know?
Absolutely.
Yellow or change.
So I made a simple. I mean, this is really hopefully very simple once you know what it is. Just a few functions. So I'm making a big assumption about my shell that it knows that whenever I'm executing in it, it knows about ANSI colors. ANSI is some international standard for, oh gosh, that's embarrassing.
American National Standard Institute or something?
ANSI,
Yes.
what does it stand for?
Yes.
Thank you. Man over there knows what he's talking about. So there are ANSI like colors defined for shell. Like I don't know why American National Standard is defining these, but there are proper escape codes, and that's what this is right here. So you want to know what green is? Like it is octal 33 followed by this line noise gibberish to change the color to green, and then I do my arrow, and then I change the color back to black.
So that's not an RGB value, that's something else.
No,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
It's an encoding thing that
Yeah.
Bash sees this and says, you are giving me a command to change the color of the shell from this point forward. Like if I took this off, everything would be green after that. So
why do you change it back to black? Or is green just the foreground?
He just said it.
Uh,
So if you didn't take it off, then all text after that's going to be green.
Oh, okay.
It's like
Yeah.
a closing
Okay.
tag.
yeah, right. So 32M. I don't like again. I have no idea where these definitions of why they chose these particular values. That's probably in the history of this that I'm unaware of. Is green. 31M is red. So I've got a failure thing, and then on my info messages I just print out without any
And
colors.
remember you asked about exit codes?
Uh-huh.
That's a way of giving an exit code. So
Oh,
he's
you can define your own.
Yeah, I could have said exit 42 if I wanted my exit code to be something else. So there you go. If you want to know what all the color options are, I think it's a very small palette, it's like 8 colors or something like that. You can do a search on the internet for bash ANSI colors, and it will.
Well, type in DIR colors, or type in your environment, and you'll see a DRI colors.
Oh, you're right.
So that's a good example. So
So-
just type ENV and see scroll up, see if you see. There's LS colors. That might be for.
It might be a Linux thing that Apple doesn't really
Either a
do.
Linux thing or a Bash thing. Bring up a
Here's
Bash shell.
LS colors.
Yeah, but that's not the
Should be
same.
in Bash.
Yeah, try Bash. see, now the environment. Yeah, so maybe it is a Linux thing.
Yeah.
But that uses the same thing. 33 for this color, 32 for another color.
Okay. Cool. Any other?
Even your prompt, it's showing.
Yeah. Well, that's
Echo
something else.
PS1 and see what it looks like. So that's a maybe a ZShell color scheme.
This sets, yeah. So I use one of the things that was on that GitHub page is a project called ZShell, and it is a tool that helps manage ZShell. So I can do plugins and things. That's where for example, like I have a bunch of aliases that all of these, I didn't define these. All these G aliases that do Git things are defined by the Git ZShell plugin that I have turned on. And there's a ton of them. Most of them I don't use, but they're there. So ZShell it's what's managing my theme as well, which I guess is what my actual prompt is here. So for example, like if I change, let's just say, go in here. So I've modified Bootstrap, now you can see it's got the little X character here that tells me that my Bootstrap file is modified. And if I was to switch to a branch, changes the branch name, so forth. It's just information, but it's a cool tool. So if you're interested, so I found Bash is cool. I'm not going to knock Bash. I think ZShell is cooler. I think it has a lot of stuff that's super powerful.
And every time I try to get into it, I run into this is the way to do it. No, this is the way to do it.
Yeah. There's probably a million and one ways to do it.
Yeah.
5 people and you have 6 opinions anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But there's some really neat stuff that's in ZShell. Like, for example, let's see, where am I? All right, I'm already fairly high up, but let's say I wanted to get to root, and I'm being dumb, and rather than doing cd/, I want to do it by using a relative, going up that way. So in Bash, you'd have to do ... right? I think we're 4 levels down, so I think that would do it. Is that right? Yeah. So in ZShell, they said, oh, you want to go up directories? That'll go up 1. You want to go up another one? That'll go up another one. That'll go up another one.
Well, I got that working in Bash. I'm doing that in Bash, but with alias.
Okay.
Alias dot equals cd dot. Alias dot equals cd dot / dot.
Yeah, I guess I think where
Because you're making Bash do all the extra repetitive work for you.
Where ZShell gets maybe a little bit cool. That's cool. It's a good alias. I like it.
You lean on the period key too long.
So, you'll end up at root.
Yeah.
So they do the first 2 dots is up 1 directory, but then if you want to go up more directories after that, it's 1 dot.
Wow. How many layers can it go? I mean, is it infinite as far as the file system goes? They'll take you up to
root is root. So
yeah,
I
mean, once you depending on how deep you are, right? Well, no.
So let's say
ZShell.
let's say you're really fond of the ZShell, right? Instead, you prefer it. So, but you're going around to different systems, and sometimes you might start off on, for whatever reason, on a Bash shell, on a Bash-based system that doesn't already have it installed. Could you have your configuration files or something like automatically install
That's what it
ZShell?
does. Yeah.
Switch it.
Let me look at
restart the shell in ZShell or something.
Yeah. let's see. It's in here somewhere.
So failure is
one of
not
the
shell.
prerequisites is that ZShell has to be installed in the system. Bash is going to be there because it's the
Right.
default shell. Anybody have? Does somebody have Linux? Oh, well, someone that can actually.
I can't. I'm stuck.
What are you looking for?
I'm wondering if ZShell is automatically installed in a standard Linux distribution or not.
I don't think so.
I don't remember.
Doubt it.
Yeah, I would doubt it too.
Yeah.
So anyway, my bootstrapping process, just like I kind of punted on these and said I'm not. It's up to me to figure out the right commands to install these necessary tools. I should probably honestly have one that says check for tools ZSH, but I don't. And then what I do here is I do some work that says, here we go. This was stuff that I have to do as root, so I try not to run like root commands with my bootstrap thing. So this is something that has to be done to change what this command does is that says change shell. That's what that command means. I don't recall what the -s flag means.
It's stencil shell.
Oh, does it?
It's user mod -s is the same thing.
Okay.
So I'm assuming.
Yeah, I don't remember if there was a reason why I had to, because you would think if this
Or
is
maybe
changes
it's
shell.
silent. I don't know. Let's find out.
Anyway, this is the command that I have to run to set
Okay.
ZShell, because this is the one of those one things that once I run the bootstrap command, it's not going to automatically drop me into ZShell. I'd have to restart the terminal, I think, to suddenly be on ZShell.
What is the default shell that a Mac OS 10 normally uses? If you open terminal in a Mac, what do you end up?
All right, back.
Bash.
You're in Bash.
Mhm.
So OS 10 goes straight to Bash.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
I think right now they also made it on Windows 10 because they integrated Bash shell from Ubuntu.
Yeah, it's not there yet, but it's.
Yeah,
it's coming.
I'm running this right now.
Well, what's a
I've got
Are you on the
BSD? What's a
developer
BSD basic, default shell? That would be probably what OS 10 would be going on. It'd be whatever BSD does.
OS 10 uses Bash, the
Yeah,
default
so,
Bash.
yeah.
And I think I wouldn't even say it's GNU Bash. I don't think it's BSD. Will this work? Nope. How do you get Bash's version?
Bash dash dash. Yeah, version.
Yeah.
GNU.
I have
A GNU
So it's
thing
Bash
shipped
3.2.
on Apple
I
got
products.
to run
Kind of
something.
like Steve Jobs would.
Yeah, not slow like that. Good enough.
Well, Bash is up
maybe
to 4
you
now.
can to your shell like Yum if it's on the Fedora base, or you can try if Yum fails, use it again.
Yeah, I totally could have done work to try and make it,
To
try and make my,
install, yeah.
and a lot of people do that. I just chose for me, I don't install a ton of tools, and it wasn't worth the effort to try and make a script that was
Yeah,
cross-platform.
-s is shell. -l is list shells. Try that. Try ch shell -l and see what's on your Mac. What?
See,
Maybe that's the Mac's.
They might not have included that in their
Oh,
implementation of it.
they've got the BSD version of Change
Okay,
Shell.
that's what I thought.
Well, no, this is the BSD version of Change Shell. They have the
Oh.
GNU version of Bash.
Bash.
They're just a hodgepodge.
Whatever works.
So anyway, I don't know. Maybe I did this because it was the. You know what? That could have been the thing that I did to be cross-platform between Mac and Linux. I don't generally try, but this one might have been one where the change shell command was finicky.
Well, if you're going to, you would have for all of your .file directories, .files to be movable. You would almost have to have that compatibility,
Yeah.
or else pulling it across wouldn't. Something would break somewhere in one of those environments. Or
Right.
potentially could.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
prerequisites for the way I do .files is you have to have a file system that can do symbolic linking. So or
It's any Nix-ish file
Windows.
should be.
Windows is kind of out of the
A window,
question.
yeah, Windows is out
No,
of the question.
no,
I could link in Sigwin.
Right.
Except
I
with
mean, yeah,
Sigwin.
if you go through Sigwin, or I guess in this future.
And you could
where-
also link in Windows as well. It's just a Windows
Yeah.
command, not a
Right. It's
Not
a,
a
it's
bash
a different,
command, yeah.
different process. So.
You're right, yeah.
So yeah, that's Medot files.
Okay. Can you get to my GitHub stuff
Yep, sure.
from there? I'm not playing with environments or anything, but I'm just doing pure utility.
Sure.
And I thought I'd share it.
Floor is yours, sir.
I'll just take these in alphabetical order, just so I won't get lost. You have Vim on here, so this is just you do, okay. This is everything I've got on here is stuff that I've just done to make shortcuts for me. That's all I've done. And why could you just not say, cat history, grep what you're looking for? Well, yes, you could. That's what I'm doing. And so you can kind of see that I'm using the read command to capture what you enter into it in this variable called bhist_term, bash history term. I usually protect my variables in the curly braces that we discussed earlier. So if I take this, I don't know what our history would be, but ls. So if I run it, oh, okay.
Yeah, you're gonna have to prefix all yours with that.
Or wait a minute, hold on a second. I'm telling it. Let me try something here.
Oh, you would.
Whoa! It's not. Wait a minute.
Oh, you don't have it as an executable.
I don't. It was when I. Okay, we'll
just
fix
type
that.
bash and in the script name.
You can try that. Did
Bash and in your script name.
okay. Even though it's not marked as executable, that's interesting.
But that's kind of the safer way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's saying in that case it's saying.
There are all the different things that we've done, so that's what that is, and it's just easier. Yes, I could probably say. Now, does this have the history?
Yep.
Yeah, so I could easily say history, and then pipe it through. Grep. Now, what's that to AG?
Yes, AG.
AG and VIM. Here we go. And so these are all so you find all the files that we've started anyone's edited on this machine recently. So it is right there. Okay. This is another thing. The find command is interesting. I just put an F in front of it. And what I'm looking for here is, again, that you give it an argument. So I want to find a file that has a partial. So I'm using the command. The string 1 is just the first thing you enter after you give. It's the first argument after entering the script name. The -i name in find gives you. You don't have to. It ignores case is what the I is for, and also I've escaped the star because I'm looking for a directory. So if I want to find something in the current directory, something has bash in it. There it is. Well, no, it isn't. Didn't show it. Okay. Hold on a second. There we go. Oh, it put two? That's interesting. Two shells in there. You might have recalled, I don't know how many of you were here. I think most of you weren't here when we talked about PGP, but I use GNU PG to encrypt things that I want to keep up on the web, and to unencrypt them, GPG EC is to encrypt the file. I'm basically saying, invoking the GNU PG command. Here, E stands encrypt, A is ASCII armor, and the recipient is me, and then I just give it the file name, and so that's all that is. And the same thing with say again?
What was the A?
What?
Okay.
No, I'm asking, so you have the decryption as well?
Yes, and that's DC decrypt, and it does a little bit different there. Good. I said I was going to talk about Regex a little bit. What this is doing is, if you look at line 1 up there, I'm basically just giving it the file name. So I usually like to just copy and paste the file name. So I'll put the file name in there. Now this is an encrypted file, and usually it ends in ASC, because it's ASCII armored. So if you have a file name, say it's file.doc, and you encrypt it with the standard GNU PG, the encrypted version of it will be file.doc.asc. So I want to strip off that ASC out of there. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this value, and this is where earlier you were putting parentheses around the variable. When you put parentheses around the variable, it's basically, that's the newer way of doing just 2 backticks. So you put the string, this value, this value. So you're talking, I'm echoing this file name. So file.doc.asc, I'm echoing it, and I'm piping it through sed, which is a stream editor. And the syntax on the sed here is that S is, I want to substitute. And I want to substitute what's in there with removing the last 4 characters. That's what that regex is doing. I'm escaping the curly braces in there. That's why the backslash. And I'm taking out about the last 4 characters. What are the last 4 characters? I'm stripping from the file name, .asc. And the reason I want that, I don't want that ASC in there when I don't want to overwrite my encrypted file. I want the original back. So I'm just taking that ASC out of there. And then I'm taking, that's my new file out variable now. So I've created the new file out variable. Now I do the decryption option. GPG-O is the output file, this file out with the ASC stripped off of it. I'm going to decrypt the original file in. And then I always like to be sure, so I want to list it again. I want to list the files. So, and I'm using the long listing because I want to see the date that it's in there. So, the date that I created the new file, the original file, the date that it was encrypted, and then the decrypted file is going to be the date today, just a few minutes ago, which is what that's doing. That's a decryption.
So Mark, in line 3 then, what you're doing is you're decrypting GPG file in, and you're placing it into the output file.
That's exactly right.
File out. Okay.
I probably could switch the option switches around,
Yeah.
but that's the way I learned it.
Okay.
It works. I didn't have to mess with it, so that would be an interesting thing to try. It probably wouldn't matter because you're giving the option switch and the argument. Option switch and argument. It shouldn't matter. The file that it decrypts and the file that it outputs to. So in theory, it really shouldn't matter.
Okay.
It's just the first examples I saw was in that
The reason
order.
it struck me is just normally output is like at the end, so you would expect, but okay.
Well, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but if you want to make it readable, readable.
It's easier for the human.
Right.
It's strange syntax like that, like FFmpeg, the file media file manager. Changing file formats, like from WAV to MB3 or something. You can do it. It really doesn't matter, but that's a good point though.
Tar command gets me every time.
It's what?
The tar, creating
Oh.
a tar archive file that gets, like, I always forget, is it supposed to be the directory first? or
Oh,
is it the
that's
file
no.
name
Actually,
first? Like,
I finally got it pounded into my head with tar until I finally, when you're manually doing tar, that's a good point. Let's talk about syntax for tar. What Matt's talking up is if you want to create a file, actually tar dash cvf, and I'm going to say script.tar. This is your output file. The syntax for this is your output file first, and then I put, where's your, what this is doing, can you see the bottom line, bottom of the screen there? I can't.
Yep.
You see
Yep.
over
Okay.
what this is doing is, that's exactly what you're talking about. With tar, what we're doing here is we're creating, I want to verify, because I like to see. I use a vSwitch a lot, because I want to see. I don't care if I already know what it's doing. I want to see that it's doing it. Yeah. And then the last argument you give in a tar, and this would be the same as -c, -v, -f. But the last thing you want to see is, it wants to see is the f, because that script.tar is that file argument. If you put the others in front of it, it'll get confused. You know, and then the next argument is the stuff you want to put in the tar file. So now what it's doing is it's done it. I said the -v, so it showed me what it put in there. Now, what's that little oh, because it changed the repository information.
Yeah.
Hey, the Git detected a change. I haven't committed it yet.
It's working.
Yeah. And so now, if I want to verify what I've got in that file, I can say tvf. I don't know what T comes from, but
T is test.
it tests. That's it. Okay.
But yeah, if you want to list what's in there.
Where's the logic? You know, if you want to see what's in a tar file, and we could probably pipe it through less so it doesn't scroll off the screen on us. I'm sorry?
There are few files still will be on the same screen.
It should.
No need for less.
It got everything.
Yeah, because few of them.
But then, of course, I exited out of less, so it's not showing, but it should be the same files. So, but that's kind of like the syntax. So that started with the conversation of do you put which switch do you put in front of the other? But with tar, for example, if you're creating something, that F for file has to be followed immediately by the file that you're talking about. Same thing with extracting it. I'm not gonna do it because I already did it. But if I want to extract it, I would say xvf to extract it. I'm not going to do it because I already have the files there, and by risk, corrupting them. But anyway.
It's for it. Go for it. you got Git. You'll just check out.
I got it. we could. Well, it probably it shouldn't matter if I did.
Yeah, it should probably do nothing. If you do that Git status now, it'll show just the tar file is created. Yep.
Cool. I keep forgetting I'm sitting here at a Git. in a Git.
Learn to love Git.
What's that?
Learn to love Git.
Learn to love Git.
Your bash history command. So
Yes.
What is the use case that you use it for? Just trying to. Oh, and another. Sorry, but preemptive to that one.
Okay.
Is it just a stylistic thing that you like to add on line 2 and line 5? You've got some hash marks that are just there.
Yes.
That's just your personal
Human readable.
It's like a signature.
It's not really. I guess you could. I could probably. Nobody else does it like that.
If you're the only one in the repository that does it, then we know it's Mark.
It's my signature style. But no, it's. I do that because I like to. Like to make sure that one command's not rolling into another. That there really is a carriage return line feed. I know it's there. It's just like I want to see it.
Sure.
And the second thing is it's easier for me to read.
Okay.
All the scripts I write have those little separator things in there. And they're just, so I put the hash mark in there to turn it into a comment, so it's like a no-op kind of thing.
All right.
To make it, that's the reason.
I
all my stuff is like that.
My personal taste is like just a blank line, but to each their own. It's cool.
And to me, it gives me I need all the visual markers I can get.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so for me personally, that helps me. That's the reason I do that.
That's the comment symbol in that, too, right?
It is.
No, that
Yeah,
is the that's the
that's
comment.
the comment.
Yeah, I could put, let's see, A, by the way, A and Vim put you at the end.
Are you aware of Control R? So I guess this gets back to my original question of like,
Okay.
what do you use this bash history command for?
Um,
And if the answer is
to save keystrokes
to get back to another previous command,
that I've done.
then Control R might become your best friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
So outside of Vim, but just on the
Yeah,
I got
did-
another one. I'll show you in a minute. Is the input RC. So I set up my input RC to if I type. So I'm doing a lot of stuff, and I haven't used Git in a few commands.
Mhm.
So I'm doing Control R and then typing Git. I'll type G, and then on up arrow, and it goes all the way up to my G, whatever start with G or whatever start with that. So that's my shortcut to. Shortcut to a shortcut.
Try Control R right now. Control's in the corner, and so this is Bash's back search. So start typing a command that you recently typed. Type Vim space something. Vim might not be a good example of this. Oh. So on a line that's blank. So now it's blank. Now try to type Control R.
Is this a Mac thing or is this
No, this is a bash thing.
A bash
Works on
thing.
your machine too. So type Vim. So and then I think you can hit up and down from here to cycle. No, I'm sorry, that's not right. Maybe that's
Tab. Type VIM and Control R.
The up and down works in Bash.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Oh no, that's not tab. Never mind.
No, I was hitting the tab key there.
so what you do
Okay.
is, let's say like
Okay.
a few commands ago you did a find on
Yeah.
something really complex and you don't want to type it out again, but you don't remember how long ago it was, and you don't want to go through your history file and then type to left and find the line number and then do bang.
Right. Yeah.
So what you can do is you can say Control R, start typing find, and it will bring up the last find command that you used. So it's or anything that had find in it. So if you are looking for something specific, it searches. So it's using a search tool on your history file to try and help you get to a recently used command.
So it starts on the bottom of the history.
Yeah, starts from the bottom of your history and then works backwards. So if you know it was the command was find, you could do Control R find space, and suddenly like I think what Mark was just typing a minute ago is he happened to be editing a file that had find in the name, so it was like bringing up a Vim line that had find. But if it did find space, it'd bring up the last find. So it's useful, especially if you start to recall that it's there. It's like, all right, I'm using Bash like the chainsaw that it is, and I'm stitching a bunch of things together with a pipe character, and it's a really complex operation.
And I don't want to forget that Regex thing I perfected.
Yeah, exactly.
It worked just exactly the way I wanted. Yeah.
So on my input RC.
Yeah.
So this is what I was, doing this morning. That's my regular history, right?
Right.
Now I'm like, well, last night I was using Daybreak. I hit V, it's on it, so it starts finding.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And so it's in the it's a setting in input RC. It's reverse search.
Yeah.
And can you change the buffer size? The history
Yeah,
buffer?
history size.
Yeah.
Make it 1 million.
So anyway, there's a cool tip for people.
I will be experimenting with that Control R. I never got the knack of the, like, I know like the Fedora versions of Linux have the, are compiled with the bash completion, line completion feature. I never really got totally comfortable in the groove with that. I've been around people who have just lived. Oh, this is so cool! I just hit tab. You know,
Tab key is my best friend.
It'll be easier. It'll be easier. I use internally between totally not even an internet accessible address space inside my house. I go from one machine upstairs to downstairs. I used it this morning to VNC to my the other machine I have in my recording studio, and because I wanted to check on something, and I needed to do it with a GUI, and so VNC is the what does it stand for now? Virtual Node Controller or something like that. It's basically remote desktop kind of thing, and I'm using I have X11 VNC is now you can turn on a listener in your machine. By the way, I have all the VNC 5900 series ports, you know, sent to the bit bucket at the house, so you know nothing goes in. So it's all totally local. But what this is doing is I want to see if there are any like processes hanging around from a previous VNC session. So this is the way I do it. Again, this is something just for me. I have this variable I call PSVNC, and for some reason I did this with backticks instead of parentheses. It equals the value. Okay, I'm going to PS list everything. The AX, by the way, is a BSD syntax. I'm more comfortable with the BSD syntax than I am with the other. Some people would use PS-E and something else to get that same effect. I pipe that through grep VNC, and I don't want it to show my grep command, because if you grep anything with grep, it's going to show in a PS command. It's going to show your grep command too, because grep is one of the processes that you're running. So I want to grep-v. I don't know where they got -v to eliminate something, but it's like, don't list that. So I want grep VNC. I don't want my own PSVNC command, and then I don't want the grep command either. So I'm taking that list, and then I'm going to list all of the processes that have forever. I have a flag in there that's forever, and I don't want that one that's using forever. I want to list everything but that. And then I want to list everything except the forever one. And what that gives me is, one, if all I see is the forever one, everything after end of list, and there's nothing before that, then that's exactly what I want to see. If I see little processes listed above that, those are the ones I need to go kill. So that's
what's the goal of this?
The goal of that is for me to hunt down processes that are no longer active, or that are active that aren't being used anymore. So if I open a VNC session with X11 VNC, and I pipe it through the Vinagre viewer, when I kill the Vinagre viewer, that VNC process is still sitting on that machine, and it's not going to be used again. If I open up another process, it spawns another process. Open up another window, it spawns another process. So this is my way of hunting down and killing those things. They're not really zombies, because they're still running, but I just want them dead because they're not doing anything. That's my use case for it. There's probably a better way.
So
right now it works for me.
So now, if the developer that did VNC, just going back to best practices, they should, whatever sub-processes.
Yes, they should clean it up, shouldn't they? Yes,
the session, right?
I agree. I completely agree.
Okay.
But they're not. So I'm cleaning up their own mess. I'm cleaning up their mess that they left. It happens to be the trash in my house. They left the party. I still have to clean up after the party.
So you're getting a list of process IDs, basically, right?
That's exactly what I'm
you're
getting.
manually inputting those into?
I'm not necessarily. I have another. Did I have it in here? VNC kill? Yes.
Well, PSAX will show more than just the process. It'll show the whole process.
It
Yeah, I'm
does.
just trying to figure out what he's.
I'm okay. I kill it with this. so that I don't have to manually do anything. I just type VNC kill, and it kills everything except the one that the listener I want to keep running. So let's see what this is doing. Let's see, there was an earlier version that I commented out. Okay, this is where I want to step through the processes that it's getting, so I need to go with a loop here. So I'm saying for this variable kill PS in this value string, which is quite a bit in here, string, I'm looking at my specific PSVNC. Now, again, I'm running it from my own bin file, my own bin directory, so this is where I'm going after. Nothing on the system, just my own user space stuff. So I'm not risking the system or anything. I'm grepping out the word end. I'm forgetting why I'm grepping out the word end. I'm also grepping out no X damage, which is a value that goes into the listener process that I don't have in the others. And I'm also grepping out forever, which is kind of like double safety that I don't kill my listener. So the no X damage and the forever that I'm removing. Oh, wait a minute. No X damage is the, okay, let me start again because I know I said that very confusingly. The script I use to execute open up and I do open up the VNC sessions from a command shell, which then opens up a GUI window for me. And part of it I say no X damage because I don't want to mess up the video that's coming through. I want that, but I don't want forever because I'm not doing my individual sessions forever, but I'm telling the listener to be listening forever until I tell it to quit. So I want the no X damage, I'm filtering out the forever, and what I'm looking for is awk is the dash uppercase F is the field separation. So the field case in this is just a space. So two quote marks, space, quote mark. So I'm quoting the field I'm defining, that awk is defining its field is a space. If you do a PS command, the process ID is that first thing that's listed. The process ID, the number. And that's all I want. Everything after that with all the other information, even though I'm doing PSAX, I don't care, I'm not using it. But I'm using the PSAX to get all the information for the selection criteria before. Is making sense so far?
Okay, so awk is one index?
I'm sorry, say again?
Awk is one index, and we have print dollar.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
okay.
first column.
Okay, I hadn't gotten that far yet. I hadn't gotten okay, so the awk command is I'm filtering out everything except that the PID, nothing but the PID, because the PID is followed by a space. So I'm telling it, so I'm printing, and in awk you have the single quote, curly brace, your expressions, end curly brace, end single quote, and in awk the syntax is you print, and the first string is the first field before that separator that you've defined. It's kind of like cut. It acts like cut. You're telling it what your delimiter is. And in this case, I'm a single space is the delimiter. So with the PS command we can do here for a second, if you don't mind me listening to processes on your machine. And so, but the first one's going to be the process ID, and that's what I want. Now, for each one of those, on line 5 down there, or line number 5, I'm killing this this process ID, and I don't have to sudo or anything for that because I'm the user. It's running as me. I'm doing the kill command as me because I'm running a script as me. So it successfully kills that. Process, and then it loops back again and takes the next one. So if I open and close like a hand, I have a half dozen of those hanging truss pins out there. I don't want those sitting there. They're not doing anything. Not hurting anything, I don't think, but I just don't need to have them there. And then I'm giving myself a message here, VNC proc cleaning completed. That's just something for the human. And then I invoke the command PSVNC so I can make sure that I still have, that's just line number 8 there is just my way of making sure that, yeah, I didn't kill my listener in this process. I know I didn't because this is up here, I grepped it out, but I just want to make sure. And that's what that script is doing.
You could have used cut too, right? Instead of awk.
Probably. I'm more comfortable with awk than I am cut. Cut is just too esoteric. I don't know. I know it's been around a lot longer, I guess, but yeah, you're right. I think you probably could use cut for that. And but what I'm doing is, if you do PSAX, and this should work fine on a Mac because it's a BSD syntax, right? Okay, so PSAX, which is what I just did, you can see the PID is the very first field, and it's followed by a space, and that's what I'm awking out to use. That's all I'm using is a PID ID. But it's using this other stuff, like if I wanted to kill everything that was, Vim, it would awk out, it would select out Vim, then it would awk out the PID, like that 49331 PID number.
So I think if you do a PS minus EF instead,
It should be the same
I
thing.
think it's actually a slightly different format.
It might be a different format. It probably is. It gives you the same thing.
Yeah. So what you'll notice here, the difference is
You'd have to.
the PID is no longer in that first position.
Yes, it's on the
Now
second.
the parent. Is it the second one, or I can't remember which one's the
Second.
parent.
Let me try something that's going to be.
Well, if you do, send it to head and you'll see the column names.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking as well.
UID is the first, and PID is the second, and then parent ID should be the third.
Okay. The PID's the second one. Well, in this case then, it would be print string 2.
Yeah. So you'd have to.
You'd have to just modify the script if you use the -EF. You could do the same thing. It's just with a minor tweak with the different info. I'm a lot more comfortable with the PSAX just because I've been using it.
Have you ever?
Yeah. It's what
Try-
I
try-
remember, right?
I wonder if -B works with pgrep.
Say again? Okay.
So type pgrep and and it's just going to give you the ID, but you wanna.
I want
You
more.
you wanna
I'm a little
exclude
more
the forever
refined.
one.
I'm doing a little more. I'm doing a little more
Yeah, because you
detailed
don't want to kill
selection
your
with it.
forever one.
Yes.
Is
yeah.
your forever one the latest one?
No. The forever one should be probably the oldest one.
The
probably,
oldest one.
Probably the.
Is there a? I wonder if there's,
So there's
a
a-
verbose flag on pgrep.
Try
I did pgrep like -V, then what would it show? No. I don't know what. Oh, that's probably doing the opposite. Show me all the processes.
Yeah, but what's the
No, it only the output's only process IDs.
Yeah, I still need the other information.
It might be a older, newer.
Type man pgrep.
Okay.
Go.
What am I looking for?
Search for search for age.
Age?
Search for newest or oldest. Just type new and see if that's good.
What are you looking for verbose output?
Default is new line. What are we looking at here? That's delimiter.
Yeah, and use.
I was trying to search for newest, so
forever and stuff.
Oh.
EMC command. So
Yeah.
I think Chris was looking like, could you use pgrep as an alternative and still do the
same thing.
gripping, but
that's out of
without
scope
the
of the
office stuff.
Okay.
Just some ideas.
Now yeah, that's still only the newest recent.
Select
I
only
don't
the newest
care about
recently
that
started.
because age is not. It could be that.
And
you
then
see,
there's the oldest.
It could be. You see, my forever one could be the newest thing on my current machine.
Okay.
But I'm not using that. I'm talking to a distant machine.
Okay.
But no, these are good points. I'm using. By the way, I'm using the N, which I learned. If you go to the next selection. No, I was
Yeah,
using.
sometimes
no, that's okay.
Sometimes
I'll
I have
hit
bash.
Q to get us out of there. What?
And sometimes I'm hung up on a remote session or something,
Mhm.
and so what I do is I kill the oldest bash session, and so I do pkill-o bash, and then kill my oldest bash, and I just keep doing it until I'm like.
The trouble is, do you know which is
one? You know, I
was like, keep pulling the trigger until the round has the chamber.
Well, if I want to really clean up, I just keep doing it until I'm out. You know.
No, that's an interesting functionality. I want to getting close to. Let me look at this is something that I wanted to. I really want. This is my effort at combining the stat command and the ls command. So here we got this. What did you call that? Running it into the
Here, Doc.
The here doc. Yeah, I didn't know that was what it was called. I've been using it. I just didn't know that's what it was called.
So what's the colon?
Say again.
What's the colon? Line 6, the colon.
I know.
Is that saying send it to the screen or something?
No, that's to make it into a comment. That's a long comment. In other words, instead of having a bunch of hashtags in front of it, I wanted to not have to put a hashtag. I just wanted to just type away, you know.
So the colon means multi-line comment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I guess you could call it that. Yes. No, this is a multi-line comment without having to use a bunch of hashtags. That's what that is. And if I have a whole lot of stuff I want to write, like paragraphs of comment information, and I don't want to be putting a hashtag in front of each manual line, you know, you do this. Go ahead. Look, what's that Linux TLDP site you had? Look it up on that because that explains it very well. But what I'm doing here is, let me see if I can remember all the stat. I'm saying the file criteria. So I'm looking at, what file am I looking for? So this is, I'm taking, I want the information, what I'm looking for are the permissions and the user and the group and I'm trying to remember what the access, I was trying to find the creation date or the last time it was accessed, and LS doesn't give you that. LS gives you the permissions. You can get the SE Linux contents with dash uppercase Z. But I wanted, for some reason, my use case for this at the time was I wanted the access time and the access date, and that's where I've got again the set command. I'm substituting. I want just digits in there. So let's try running this just to see what it's doing. Let's see. Let's LSO. Oh. You forget. Oh, the file name. Oh, okay. Okay, let me try it again because I forgot. I got this. I give me input, and I know it's different from the control code. It's just my. Okay, what am I doing wrong? Illegal option -C.
Well, it could be the max stat doesn't have that option. It might be a BSD stat.
Oh, you're probably right. Oh, you're probably absolutely right because this renders it in a different syntax or a different order. So anyway, that's the idea behind it.
Lesson learned: cross-platform is hard.
Yeah.
Well,
portability.
It's an object lesson in cross-platform, you know, and so but that was but you kind of see what I was doing there.
Solaris, no stat at all.
Oh yeah.
Is that
Yes.
Let me see what else can I show you today. PSAX. There's something that I use. I don't know whether you use the used to be called the DCFL DD command. It's a forensic tool basically for imaging hard drives to be accurate, absolutely bit by bit, hash. Well, DC, it used to be called DCFLD. It's now called DC3DD. It's in the Fedora repositories. It's in the Red Hat repositories. But let me. What am I doing with this? I am proving that the real, and you have to use sudo for this because you're acting on the slant dev directory. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, what device do I want to prove that it's, okay, the .str is a file I'm writing to. So when I'm starting off, I want to remove any other str files that I already have there. I want a clean slate. So line number 3 is just me cleaning my own slate. I'm taking the marker board and I'm wiping it off. That's all I'm doing with line number 3. Now, the line number 4 is me telling me, the human, what I'm doing here. I'm going to, this is in quotes, so it's a printf. I'm proving the wiping of dev of this device. Dev is going to be SDA or SDB or something like that. That's what it's going to be. So this DV is going to be, you know, whatever hard drive you want to check on, SDA or SDB or whatever, how many drives you've got. So the actual acting command, as you can see, is line number 5. Sudo. I'm invoking the DC3DD. It's very much like DD. The input file equals dev, and then my variable, which I protected with curly braces, which say it's SDA. Probably wouldn't be SDA because that's the one you're working on. Probably one I've attached via USB. So it's going to be SDC or SDE or whatever. I like to know what's going on. So the -V equivalent in DC3DD is the verb, verbose equals on. So I put that on there, and now I'm piping it through the strings command. If you take strings. You take a binary gibberish file or a binary file. Say it's an image file or something else that's, you know, not straight, you know, text, and it will pull out strings. Now, a lot of them are gibberish, but and then I'm going to take this strings and I'm running it through. I want to see it on the screen, but I'm piping it through the T command, which in addition, what T does is, in addition to showing it to you on the screen in standard out, it also forks a version of standard out into whatever file argument you give T. So in this case, I want the SDC.str because I'm looking for strings. So why am I doing this? If I've wiped it with zeros, then there won't be any strings. In a perfect world, under that scenario, SDC.str will have 0 bytes in it. You'll see 0 output on it. That's what I want to see. That's why I'm calling it DD prove. I've proven that it's been wiped. Or if you've wiped it with a pattern, then all you're going to see in that str file is the pattern, the you know, your wiping pattern that you put in there, whatever that is. You know, a set of random characters. Is that making sense?
Well, Mark, in line 3, aren't you removing the?
I most certainly am.
But then,
that's exactly
to something you've removed.
Because I'm removing any residual str files that are there.
T creates a new file.
I want to make sure what I'm looking at is absolutely brand new, fresh, no possibility of any artifacts from anything else sitting in there.
Right.
You know, I had an experience once with the I play around, like you probably know, I play around with audio a lot, and the SOX command, which is something we can do at one time because it's called the Swiss Army knife of sound. You know, you record over something, and I've recorded over the same file name, and it should have overwritten the entire thing, but I was playing the result, and the most recent version quit, and the fragment of the previous longer version was still there in that file. Bizarre, shouldn't have been there, you know. But that's just, you know, a way of keeping that. And then if I want to keep this str file, I'll just copy it to a safe place. If I really want to keep it, I'm going to put it in a safe place. But that's what that line number 3 is doing. It's not necessary, but it's just me being absolutely sure. It's now let me talk about wiping because it's a little easier. You could do it manually with DC3DD or just plain. You can do it with DD. The problem with DD, the DD command that comes with your most Linux distributions and I guess Macs and any Unix-ish version, is it doesn't give you any feedback. You just sit there and let it run. Is it done? Is it hung? How's it doing? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so DC3DD with verbose switch on tells you I've got this much percent done of this drive. I've wiped this many megabytes or gigabytes. This is how much I've got to go. I think I don't know whether it gives you I think it does give you a time. I've been working for this many minutes and I expect to be done in this many minutes. And of course those are all changing values. But DD wipe is basically the same thing. This is me putting in all this is just me saving my fingers with keystrokes. It's just, to me, it's just easier to say, I could say sudo DC3DD, wipe, equals dev whatever. And you have to do sudo because you're operating in the /dev directory. You have to be root when you do that. That's all that is taking an argument.
So try it out on his MacBook, see what now. I want to see a live demo.
I don't know his password, so I couldn't sudo up to it. He's safe.
The only reason I'm comfortable right now is
Yeah, I was like,
no, he doesn't know my password.
That was humorous, Chris. What else have I got left to show?
Another reason not to set you up with passwordless sudo.
Whoa. Oh, and Max, that's right. It is passwordless. And Ubuntu and Raspbian on the Raspberry Pi, the sudo is passwordless too. Out of the box, the noobs version of it. Here's another one too. VIMB, and that's all I'm doing there is just being a little safe, making it write a backup copy. That's all it is. It's like the little tilde, dot files that Microsoft Word does. That's all it does. That's all it does. It's just
gotta get. You don't need that command.
That's true. That's a good point.
And then when you get in the VMR and get in the dot files at VMRC, you can send it in the VMRC.
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, exactly. You can do that too. But me, I'm just more comfortable with that. I don't know what the GPG set explain thing is. Let me look at that. I think it was. What do you think if I put it into an editor?
There's some GPG.
It's like an intermediate file for your other command.
I think that's exactly what that is. That was me explaining what this is. Okay. That's what that is. That's all that is. I'm just trying to explain. That's just me explaining what that is. That's all. That's not really an executable. Well, it would be executable if you had something of that file name. And one other thing I've got. Oh, trans today. I've forgotten what half of this stuff is. I use them. Oh, okay. Okay, this is, okay. What I'm doing with this, and I do use this on a routine basis to back up what I've done recently. If you look at what this is doing, I'm listing the files. And I'm excluding, and I have to use rsync instead of copy because of the functionality that's in rsync. CP doesn't have this, so I have to use rsync for this. And again, I love verbose. I don't want to work on the directory that I'm doing, but so I got this string, and I'm going to do a long listing, and I'm going to pipe that through grep. Now, this is a very long this is a very long grep because I'm echoing the date, and again I'm using awk here, and the way to see what this is really doing is to, type in date to see what it's doing. What I'm really doing is I'm pulling out the day's date. And I'm pulling out the day's date so that what I'm doing is I'm only copying the files that have today's date. That's what that's doing. If you look at the syntax, and my head is going to hurt if I try to go through each individual thing, but I went through this very meticulously to get awk out exactly what I needed. I needed the day, I needed the month, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't get this is the 6th of August. I didn't want to pull something from the 6th of June, So I needed to pull og. I needed to pull 6. I needed to pull enough of the combinations to make it unique for today, this date. And then I save that off to a folder that then I can copy off and save. That's what I'm going to do. Questions on that?
So you're syncing, you're making a copy of today's files?
I'm taking the copy of today's files in my current run from the directory that's above trans.
Okay.
So I'm copying this I'm removing the current trans file because I don't want it mixed up with yesterday's files that I put in trans yesterday. And so then I'm sitting in the directory above trans. I'm now creating a new trans directory, and I'm copying into the trans directory only the files that were changed today in the current directory that I'm sitting in.
Okay.
And they're not being moved, they're only being copied. And what that lets me do is, and I prove it out by listing in line number 8, LRT is reverse time, so I want the latest file listed at the bottom, but all of them should be dated today. And then when I can do that, then I can, SFTP them off to another machine. That's what I'm doing this for.
Where are you making the new directory?
The rsync creates it.
Okay.
It creates it when it goes down here. I don't know where I guess I don't have here's when I'm saying trans.
Oh, okay.
Trans, I'm copying this, and it's going to create that trans folder. Actually, the trans folder is there. I'm just removing all the files that are in the trans folder.
Oh, so it's staying. Okay.
So that's what that's doing. So it's basically cleaning out in line number 4 cleans out the folder. Line number 6 fills out the folder with the new stuff from today.
Right.
And line number 8 shows what got put into the new folder. So I think there was another one. And then we've got, what did I trans today? I did find replace. That's kind of, I know there's probably some other. All right, this is just set substitution, and it works only on text. And so I'm saying, and that's why I put the prompt in the read, because I want to make sure the whole I want to find this, I want to replace it with this, and here's where I want to put it. And so the target would be like a file name. So line number 9, let's go through real quickly with the sed command. I'm going to inline substitute the old text and then the new text. So what this is going to do is it's going to find the old text. Everywhere it finds old text, it's going to overwrite it with what the new text value is. And the slant G at the end in the sed command and syntax is I want to do that globally throughout that file. That's what that's doing. And then instead of, you can see I started off by catting out target. If that's a big file, that's not going to help very much because it could pass what you changed. So I just wanted to grep the new text inside the target to make sure that I got it. I wanted the -n switch in there, option switch in grep.